Hey, what's going on everyone, it's Ojama Go in a video on Duel, and today we are looking at an Odion Control deck, Endless Trap Hell. It's been served me very well in PvP. I'm just going to go over the deck right now for you guys and tell you some of the combos and everything that you can pull off with it. It's been served me well against Amazonas. I know a lot of people have been struggling against Amazonas right now in PvP and some other decks, and this deck seems to do extremely well. So as you can see, I'm only running 4 monsters. I'm running 1 Man-Eater and 3 Worm, just to mill out my opponent a little bit quicker, because it is like a stally kind of deck. I'm running 2 Floodgates, 2 Defense Draws, 3 Wall of D's. I'm running the 1 Jar of Avarice, 2 Chain Destructions, this brand new card, Chain Disposal. When a spell or trap is activated, destroy all cards with, in the controller's deck with the same name as the one that activated. So if they play Amazon Onslaught, all the Onslaughts from the deck are going to go to the grave. If they play Mask Change, all the Mask Changes are going to go to the grave. It's just a very strong card, especially for a deck like this. It thins out your opponent's deck, and it stops them from actually being able to combo a lot of cards together. So it's such a clutch card, and then we're just running the Massive Morphs. So as you can see, the deck does thin out the opponent quite a lot. With the Warm Worm milling 3, we've got Chain Destruction milling another quite a lot of monsters, and then we have Chain as well. Chain is just very good, because you can mill your own Warm Worm or your opponent's monsters to the graveyard. Some other plays that you can do is, I'll show you once we go into some battles, but that's the main focus of the deck. It does work extremely well against Amazonas, because Amazonas can't deal that well against defensive decks, because they're all about being on the defensive themselves in a strange way. Because of Onslaught, they need to banish monsters to pop off completely and start attacking. So if you're running like a complete stally kind of defense deck, they really can't do anything. That's why you see quite a lot of burn decks back in the meta, or you might have faced a few Ojama Go decks. And yeah, the reason why them decks are back is because they hard counter Amazonas, and this deck hard counters quite a lot of the meta right now. Because if you just keep recycling your Wall of D's, your opponent's going to just be completely locked down, and they're going to be like doing hardly no damage to you. Floodgates, like, very good against Masked Heroes, because and CA and stuff like that, all the OTK decks, you can just keep throwing them down. The deck I'd say it struggles against most is Sylvan's, and I think we're facing a Sylvan deck right now. We'll have to see. But he is running great. It is most likely it's going to be Sylvan's, but we're going to throw 2 Wall of D's down. End that turn. I have beat a few Sylvan players with this deck for the simple fact they do mill themselves out, and if they have no way of gaining cards back to the deck like super fast, they just end up losing. So that's probably going to be a Ultimate Providence on the back. But I'm cool with that. I'm just going to keep filling up the board as much as possible, meaning if he does waste his resources by flipping, he'll have to target as many stuff as possible, and if he doesn't hit the right things, then we're fine. So he does summon a Carrot Weight into attack mode, and he is attacking. I'll let the attack go through. Is he gonna... Oh no, it goes to the grave, but he can Ultimate Providence if he wants to. It was activatable just then because I clicked it. He is gonna let... So 2 of his leaves went to the graveyard. They can't activate either. So that's him down a good few cards right there. Defensive Draw, I will set that as well. Defensive Draw will be very strong against us. We're gonna... Obviously that... Well, our face down card is going to be a Mushroom. It's either a Mushroom or a... Oh, he's going to go in for double attacks. I'm cool with this. It could be a Rose Lover. I kind of want to like check the water, see what it is, just in case it is a Mushroom. Yeah, it was a Mushroom. So he's going to go in for an attack. I won't Wall of D this. I will Defense Draw just to get an extra card to the hand. And we draw into the Floodgate. Do I want to play the Floodgate just yet? I think I want to set a Massive Morph over it, just in case he does get another Mushroom to the graveyard. We can chain our Massive Morph to that Mushroom, so it's not a waste of a trap. So he does summon the Rose Lover into attack mode. Is he just going to go in for an attack like this? He is. He most likely has another trap in his hand. Let's see what he does. He doesn't, because he could have Ultimate Providence if he had another trap in his hand. So as we can see, he's low on cards in his deck. We got rid of most of his... he has one leaf left in his deck, or it's in his hand. Now what I think I'm going to do is set the Floodgate, because he has to tribute off his monsters to actually do any damage to us. But then he can tribute that off for the carrot weight, so we just need to be careful. Because he can recycle his cards. So he tributes off 2 to bring out the tree. I think I'm going to Floodgate the tree right now. And if he does use the Rose Lover from the graveyard, we cannot activate any traps on it. So we just need to play around it. So there's the carrot weight, it's going to throw the tree into the graveyard. Throws us another Rose Lover to the graveyard. He has 8 cards left in his deck. So he is going to go in for battle with 1900. I'll Wall of D this. We're going to get our Wall of Ds back anyway. Another thing that you want to keep in mind with this deck is only use your skill to mill the traps back into the deck after when you use Jar of Avarice. That way you're basically recycling your traps twice instead of once. You just get more out of it. So change, well, my opponent's like running no like stuff to activate that with. That's just there for like people that run a lot of background stuff. So I'm going to activate Jar of Avarice before I activate my skill. That way Jar of Avarice will get shuffled back into the deck and we can get twice as many stuff back. So has he got a tribute monster in his hand? He does have a tribute monster in his hand. I am going to Floodgate that because that can mill 3. So that gets thrown into defense position. Very strong situation right now. We're keeping this player locked down completely. We drew into our last Wall of D, so right now I will activate my Jar of Avarice. Targets in 5. No, I kind of don't want that. Let's just grab all the spells and traps. Leave our monsters in the graveyard. Plus we get a draw from the Jar of Avarice. Defense draw. I'm good with that. So we have a massive morph, a defense draw, and a Wall of D set down. My opponent is in a dire situation. He has to draw into his other ultimate provenances to counter one of my traps, or he has to Rose Lover quite a few times to actually do anything against me. But firstly, he has to tribute off his monsters, which he probably might do with Carrot Weight in his graveyard. He does have 7 cards left in his deck though. We might see a surrender right now. I'd highly recommend using an Odion Control deck over Ojama Go right now, because Ojama Go's in such a weird situation. If it's working for you, that's great, keep using it. But for the rest of the players that have tried it, but it just doesn't feel right, or it's just not working, I would highly recommend trying an Odion deck. They do seem to work quite a lot, especially with the recycling of all the traps. So my opponent, I think, is just time stalling now, because he knows there's literally nothing he can do. And we're just getting all of our traps back over and over again. Like when my skill's activatable, when I got the traps in the graveyard, I'm going to get the Jar of Avarice back in my deck or back to my hand, so I can recycle again. Let's see what my opponent decides to do. He's using Sylvans and he's time stalling. This is how good this deck is, guys. He's time stalling with Sylvans. I think he's mad. Or he's thinking about a play, but you don't think this long about a play with Sylvans. You just click yes and keep going. Feels bad, man, for my opponent. Thinking he's going to get some easy wins with his easy Sylvan deck, and then he had to face me with the F deck. I just called it F, I didn't know what to name it. So let's see. I hope all of you guys are doing well in ranked right now. I know a very big portion of you most likely will be running Amazons, because why not? It is a meta deck, it is a very powerful deck, and it does win. So I don't have anything against people that run it. It's just I like running decks that counter the meta. Like if something's super competitive and super meta, I like running the rogue deck that counters the meta. Because that way they think their deck's unstoppable and they think they're going to just be facing other meta decks, and then I come in with like a creation like this and just shut everything down. If he's I think he's going to time stall out. This is a reportable offense, apparently, to Konami. I think there's a DC right now. I think he's mad that his Sylvan didn't beat me. Oh well. I think the reason why this first duel took so long is because of how long he took. I am going to report this guy, because obviously time stalling is a reportable offense to Konami apparently. And why not? He's a Sylvan player. So we literally took no damage that duel as well. There was nothing that Sylvan player could do. And we'll probably look at his deck. It's going to be report first. Slow play. I have video proof as well. He did have the ultimate provenances, he only ran 2 though, so if he were running 3 maybe he could have negated a few of my traps, but he didn't manage to do anything. So let's jump into the next duel. Hopefully we do face Amazons, and I can show you how powerful the chain cards can be by chaining chain destruction monsters, and then chain the spell and traps to the graveyard, and then your warm worms popping stuff into the graveyard as well. It's like a really solid defensive mill deck in a way. Because mill decks, they don't run quite a lot of like super defensive stuff. You're just going all out to try and mill your opponent as fast as possible. But this, it's like a slow mill. And I find it a lot more effective. I really am enjoying this deck. So my opponent's running Grit, so I guess it's another Sylvan player. There's his face downs. Let's see if my opponent can actually do anything. I'm going to throw a Massive Morph in the middle because every time your opponent targets a card, they always target the middle one. We pulled both of our Chain Disciple, but it's not really good right now because it doesn't work too well against Sylvan players. Let's see if he does flip it, obviously he's going to target 5. My opponent's making the same play as last time. We need these Wall of Ds. There we go. I will activate my... No, not yet. I'm sure I put a defense draw down. I did. If I didn't, then that could have ended badly for us. We have got a Chain Destruction, which is good for us, I guess. We can mill out a few of his monsters using that. And it stops their effects as well. If we're throwing their monsters into the graveyard, it's stopping their effects. So he's most likely going to tribute off that Carrot Weight next turn. We draw into a Man-Eater. I'm good with that. So we'll set the Man-Eater. We'll set Chain Destruction. And I think I'm going to set the other trap as well, just to bluff him out a bit. We need to be careful. He does have 3 mushrooms in the grave. Not in the grave, in his deck. Tributes to the Doom. Throws Rose Lover to the grave. I'm okay with this. Now we can activate this, see if he's got any more in his deck. He didn't have any more in his deck, so he's only running the 1. Is he going to activate Rose Lover? There we go, his Rose Lover's going through. I can't activate Chain Destruction on this, but it's most likely going to be... Yeah. Let's see if he's going to mill 3. No, he's just going to go in for battle. Oh, I can't negate that, so I'm going to have to Massive Morph his other monster. Because he did Rose Lover that turn. Let's pray we do draw into like a Wall of D or something nice. There's the Wall of D. I know I usually say wait until you draw into Jar of Avarice, but my opponent's aggro, so we can pull that. Or then go back to the grave. There we go. So right now my opponent has to use his leaves to destroy his own monsters or tribute over them. So he is going to be milling 3 off the top of his deck. There's a tree. He can destroy 1. He can destroy 1 of my back row. Let's see what he targets. Hopefully he doesn't target the Wall of D. But they always target the right card. The Wall of D is this card right here. He does target the Massive Morph, so I can chain it. I don't think that's a... I don't know. Hopefully that isn't a tribute monster in his hand. Because if he hits his other 2 mushrooms, we're going to be in... We basically die. No, he just ends his turn. He didn't draw into it. So that's good for us. We can just set another Wall of D, end our turn. If he hits, like, both mushrooms, I guess... The only way that we can win is if he hits both mushrooms and then hits the chain. Oh, that hurts even more. He hits the chain. So we do have the Wall of Ds protecting us. There's 1 mushroom. I'm going to guess with the effect of that, he's going to put a mushroom back onto his deck. This is when I was saying near the beginning of the video that this, Sylvans can cause you some mayhem. But at the same time, you do have a chance of winning, as you could see before. So we do have 1 Wall of D protecting us. He put in a tribute monster on top of his deck. The carrot weight's coming out right now. We have to Wall of D this, which is unfortunate, because he is going to be tributing next turn. So we have to draw into something perfect. We have to draw into something so perfect. And because the carrot weight's on the field, when he does tribute, he can like pull off some shenanigans. And we only draw into a Warm Worm, which isn't good for us whatsoever. Because he hasn't used 1 leaf yet. He hasn't milled 1 leaf from his deck. So the chances, because when he tributes into the tree and uses its effect, the chances of him actually hitting a leaf is huge. Plus we need to remember he can tribute off his carrot weight just to pull out another carrot weight if he wants, and there's the leaf. So that's game over for us. Big brain Silver player. And that's 2 Sylvan decks back to back. I really want to show you guys how well this deck works against Amazonis though. So hopefully we can stop facing Sylvan players, because I've had enough of that over the last 2 seasons. Thing is, you bump into so many Sylvan players, you go, okay, I'm going to pull out my Mask Hero deck. You grab your Mask Hero deck, jump into ranks like, yes, I'm ready to destroy him. And the first deck you face, Amazonis, and then you lose. And then you're like, fine, I'll go back to my other deck, and then you face Sylvans once again. I'm sure the game matches you against your worst deck. It's so annoying. It's like you just make a deck, you think it's perfect and amazing, and you're like, this is going to destroy everything in the meta, and then you face like a random deck that's the instant counter to you. If there's a spell box, that could be very bad for us, but at the same time he's going to mill himself out, plus Chain Destruction's like super powerful against him. Oh, it's a dragon deck. So with Chain Destruction, Defense Draw, I guess this is a good hand. I'm literally going to just throw everything down. Floodgate, that's going to be really good against my opponent as well. We'll set down the Warm Worm. I don't think it's going to be running too much back row, so I'm just going to throw all of these. I'll keep the Chain Disposal. Disposal? Dispel. Oh, let's Fate Chain. Let's throw both of the other ones into his graveyard. He does have a stacked deck. I think it was a 30 card deck, so if we can mill him out completely, it's all good. Oh, that's bad for us if he manages to get that off. The Dark Storm. He is going to go in for battle though. Warm Worm mills 3 off the top of his deck. Do have the Floodgate ready. And the defense draw is going to draw us into a Wall of D, which is going to be helpful. I'm going to guess it's going to be a Wall of D. We'll defense draw this. Actually, we should have defense drawn the other one. We would have saved ourselves 100 life points. But it's all good. Oh, no. No. That was right. We did it right. So this is perfect. I guess it's kind of perfect. If he does pull out the Dark Storm somehow, I can just... Actually, no. That Ice Dragon's a very big threat for us because we can't target it. So Wall of D is going to have to come in clutch for us. But I think he is going to try and bring out Dark Storm. We'll see what he does. So he is bringing the white dragon out. Yeah, he is. Can I floodgate it? I think I can floodgate it. Let's attempt to floodgate it. Will it go through? I don't think it will. Ultimate Providence. So he is running some back row. We can't target it, but we can Wall of D it. So he's just filling up his board. Plus we can massive morph his other monsters if we need to. We will take a little bit of damage right here. Wall of D, it doesn't target, so 600 attack. Massive morph targets, so it won't work on his white knight dragon. No idea why he's still attacking. There we go. Are you going to attack with your other? Yep, okay. Let's see. I guess we can use our yeah, we can use our skill as well. If that pops off and we get a Wall of D again. Hey, we just drew into a Wall of D. So I'm going to set the Wall of D. My opponent still does have a super stacked deck, so we won't use our skill until we draw into Jar. That way we can replenish our deck and have more cards than my opponent, because he is running a 30 card deck. Does he have a tribute? If he does tribute into anything but a white knight, we can just massive morph it. Why not? I'll activate Wall of D right here, just throwing him down onto 0. And turtle off because I got a feeling my opponent's going to attack 3 times. Oh, he didn't. Okay. Draw. I'll just throw one of them face down, why not? I'm actually going to activate my skill right now. I think with the Jar in our deck, we can mill out my opponent. So I'm going to set that down. End my turn. Remember that my total's off, so put it back on auto. His deck is way too aggro to actually be able to cope with the amount of traps I'm running. So here comes the tribute. Do I want to floodgate this one? I'll floodgate that. He can special summon a dragon from the grave, so I'll just massive morph his Darkstorm when it hits the field. His Darkstorm's effect every turn. Once per turn, you can send... Oh no, it's all good. There's a Warm Worm. His monster's effects are activating. He's going to special summon a monster. It's all good. Set this. Does it destroy everything once per turn? Destroy all traps. Spelling traps on the field. Ouch. But I can chain massive morph to it. And if he doesn't play any spells and traps, I can... Yeah, that's just useless. So right now he does have this same amount of cards in his deck than me. And 2 of his monster spots are filled up, but he can tribute. Which is a feels bad, man. And yeah, he can special summon another monster. This is looking really bad for us. But he can't use his monster's effect to destroy my back row. Which is good, I guess. Is he actually going to go in for battle? He is. This is going to mill another 3. Which is kind of helping my opponent, I guess. We did throw another spell into the graveyard. Which just stops his Darkstorm from doing anything too crazy. You can chain dispel a chain dispel, which is stupid. A defense draw, I guess that's okay, but my opponent can special summon another monster. So I think it looks like we're going to be taking 3,000 attack right now. Such a shame we're not drawing into our Jar, because Jar would come in clutch right now. Or another Wall of D would really help. I think if he tributes off his Felgrand, we would lose. Oh, so he is blowing up the back row. We just lost. That's a feels bad, man. That doesn't destroy the one on the field either. He was running 3 of them. He has 3. How does he have 3 of them? I know that you can get 2 at least, but 3. So that's game to my opponent. GG. Respect for him for using something different, I guess. It's just we couldn't keep him locked down because of the amount of tributes he could pull off, plus the special summons from the graveyard. I didn't face any Amazoness deck. I might do one more duel. I usually do 3, but I'll do one more just to see if we face Amazoness. The video's already 25 minutes long, so I don't know if I should do another duel, really. What I'm going to do, actually, I'll bring the deck back to the channel at another point, and hopefully we can face some Amazoness then. But this deck, believe me, it does work superbly. It does work really, really well versus Amazoness decks, and like Masked Heroes, especially with 3 Wall of D's and stuff like that. And the Chain D spell works super well against Masked Heroes. It's just a shame that we faced a unique Dragon deck and 2 Sylvan decks, which kind of sucks. But thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.